the lights drop. Not the slow, dramatic fade usually reserved for a balladeer sitting at a piano, but a sudden, violent thwack of darkness that sucks the air out of the massive venue. For a split second, there is silence. 17,000 people hold their breath, their smartphones held high like candles in the void. Then, the horns hit. A wall of brass and bass explodes through the speakers as a figure rises from a platform beneath the stage. He is smaller than you expect, but the electricity surrounding him makes him look 10 feet tall. Clad in a shimmering sequined shirt unbuttoned to his sternum, gold chains dripping onto his chest, and his signature pompadour slicked back perfectly, Bruno Mars does not walk to the microphone. He struts. He swaggers. He is 39 years old, hasn't released a solo album in nearly a decade, and yet he looks like the king of the world. But tonight is different. Tonight, the tabloids aren't just here for the high notes. They are here because for the last 6 months, the internet has been eating him alive. There have been whispers of private jets being grounded. Whispers of legal notices served backstage. Whispers of a number so astronomical it made the heart stop, $50 million. For months, Bruno Mars, the man who taught us to count the money in 24K magic, has been dogged by a single, vicious allegation. The rumor mill, churning at full speed, claimed the pop sensation was broke. Not a true Hollywood story broke, but something far seedier. The whisper said he was trapped. That he didn't perform because he wanted to, but because he had to. The rumor claimed that Bruno Mars was essentially owned by the casino industry, specifically MGM Resorts. The story was lurid, cinematic, and terrifying. A global superstar, addicted to the high-stakes poker tables, had racked up a debt so massive he was forced to sign his life away. He wasn't just playing Vegas, he was indentured to Vegas. A modern-day Elvis trapped in a golden cage. Bruno Mars, the relentless perfectionist, the 15-time Grammy winner, the man who brought back funk and soul to the pop charts, stayed silent for months. He didn't deny it. He didn't lawyer up on Twitter. He just smiled, posted cryptic emojis, and kept selling out arenas. Tonight, at 39, standing in the city that allegedly owns his soul, he finally leans into the mic. The band cuts the music. The crowd roars, then quiets. Sweat drips down his temple. He smirks, holding a prop vintage telephone to his ear. Ever since those articles came out, he says, his voice dripping with theatrical sarcasm, you stopped picking up my calls. The crowd screams. He pauses, letting the tension build until you could hear a poker chip drop. It's me, baby. I got money. The band crashes back in. But the damage, or rather, the truth is already out there. To understand why the rumor stuck, we have to rewind the tape. Bruno Mars, born Peter Hernandez in Honolulu, Hawaii, has always been an anomaly. In an industry where artists drop albums every 2 years like clockwork, Mars treats music like a rare vintage. He disappears for years at a time. His 2016 album 24K Magic was a cultural reset. It produced 3 #1 singles and swept the Grammys. But then, instead of capitalizing on the momentum, he vanished again. He resurfaced as part of Silk Sonic with Anderson .Paak, dropping Leave the Door Open in 2021, a throwback slow jam that reminded everyone that real instruments still exist. But by early 2024, fans were getting restless. Where were the new solo songs? Why was he only doing Vegas shows? The silence created a vacuum, and nature, and the internet, abhors a vacuum. In March 2024, a report from a news outlet sent shockwaves through the industry. Citing an anonymous source, the story claimed that Bruno Mars had a massive gambling problem. The number thrown out was staggering, $50 million in debt to MGM Resorts. The math was presented in a way that felt horrifyingly believable. The source claimed, he makes $90 million a year off of the deal he did with the casino, but then he has to pay back his debt, after taxes. The narrative painted a picture of a man trapped in a golden prison. He wasn't doing a residency because he loved the lights, he was doing it because the casino owned his contract. He was, the rumor suggested, essentially playing concerts to pay off a mountain of poker chips. For a few weeks, the internet treated this as fact. Memes flooded TikTok. Financial analysts on YouTube broke down his hypothetical net worth. It was the juiciest scandal since the last big music scandal. Why? Because it tapped into a deep-seated fear. We want our pop stars to be rich, but we also love watching them fall. The idea that the treasure singer was broke was just too delicious to fact-check. But there was a problem. A big one. MGM Resorts broke their silence. While most celebrities would hire a PR crisis team to scrub the internet of debt rumors, Bruno Mars chose a different path. He chose violence. Comedy violence. First, MGM Resorts International stepped into the ring. In a statement to the press, the casino giant didn't mince words. They called the speculation completely false. They clarified that Mars had no debt with MGM and reaffirmed their long-standing and respectful partnership. Usually, when a massive corporation denies a rumor, the story dies. But Mars wouldn't let it die. He grabbed the rumor by the throat and decided to drag it through the mud himself. The clues phase of this saga didn't come from paparazzi photos, it came from Bruno Mars' Instagram feed. On July 14, 2024, after a surprise duet with Blackpink's Rose in Los Angeles, the pop star posted a video of the performance on his social media. The caption read, "Almost out of debt bah. Appreciate you Rose star." The internet lost its mind. Was he admitting it was real? No. He was mocking the absurdity of it. He was turning a potentially career-damaging rumor into a bit. He was trolling us. Then came the K-pop connection. Later that year, Bruno Mars bagged his first Mama Awards. He took to Instagram again, gushing about his collaborator Rose, *F# cat around and turned me into a lil K-pop juggernaut. Star. The joke was that he was willing to do anything, even join a girl group, to pay off the mob. But the masterstroke happened in August 2024. Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars dropped a duet titled Die With a Smile. It was a massive, bombastic power ballad that shot to #1. As the song climbed the charts, Mars took to his Instagram story. He shared a video of a fan dancing to the song, but the caption wasn't about the art of the music. It was a punchline. Lady Gaga on her way to get Bruno Mars out of debt, he wrote. He was implying that his megastar friend had to bail him out. It was self-deprecating, absurdist humor. He was turning a scandal into a marketing engine. Every new collaboration, every new hit, Die With a Smile, the APT sensation with Rose was framed by Mars as just another side hustle to pay the casino. Even his older catalog saw a resurgence. Forbes reported that thanks to the Gaga duet, his entire solo discography returned to the charts. People weren't just listening to the new song, they were revisiting the old albums, wondering if they could hear the cries for help hidden in Grenade. Of course, there were none. But Bruno Mars was in on the joke, and he was laughing all the way to the bank. But beneath the sequins and the snark, was there a deeper truth? The emotional break of our story isn't about bankruptcy or gambling chips. It's about relevance. It's about the fear of being forgotten. For a long time, critics wondered, what happened to Bruno Mars? In a world of aggressive streaming drops and constant content feeds, Mars went radio silent. He was performing, sure, but he wasn't releasing. Industry speculation suggested he was suffering from perfectionism paralysis. Every track had to be a smash. Every show had to be perfect. The alleged $50 million debt rumor, though false, did highlight one very real truth: Bruno Mars is a creature of habit. He signed a massive deal to play at Park MGM. He opened the Pinky Ring, a cocktail lounge at the Bellagio. He became a fixture of the Vegas landscape. To the outside world, he looked settled. Stagnant. But the emotional pivot came during his 39th birthday. On October 8, 2024, Bruno Mars was in São Paulo, Brazil, in the middle of a grueling world tour. The pressure of the rumor was still buzzing in the air. Instead of hiding in a hotel suite, He went to a local bar called Rabo di Gallo. Footage leaked online almost instantly. There was Bruno Mars, 39 years old, wearing a Brazil baseball cap, surrounded by samba musicians. He wasn't sipping expensive champagne. He wasn't at a VIP table guarded by security. He was holding a cheap beer, singing Parabéns pra você, happy birthday in Portuguese, with a crowd of locals who treated him like a long-lost cousin. For a moment, the superstar mask slipped. He wasn't performing. He was just happy. Earlier that night on stage, he had shouted into the microphone, "Where are the single ladies?" Revealing he was freshly single after 13 years with model Jessica Caban. He was 39, unattached, free, and dancing in a dive bar in South America. That was the real emotional break. The realization that the debt, real or imagined, didn't matter. The legalities didn't matter. The charts didn't matter. What mattered was that at 39, he was still the same guy who sang the lazy song. He was still a music nerd who loved samba, cheap beer, and making people dance. The rumor of financial ruin was a metaphor for a deeper anxiety, the fear of running out of time. But watching him dance in that Brazilian bar, it was clear Bruno Mars was richer than we could ever imagine. Not in dollars, but in freedom. We arrive at the climax. The final truth. The rumor persists, but Bruno Mars finally confirmed the truth during the opening night of his latest tour leg, specifically when he returned to the scene of the crime, Las Vegas. On April 10, 2026, his current tour timeline, the 16-time Grammy winner took the stage at Allegiant Stadium. He brought out his Silk Sonic partner, Anderson .Paak. The two were riffing, doing their usual comedic banter. Anderson .Paak looked at the crowd, wiped a fake tear from his eye, and said, "I hate to make this about me, but when I think about how much debt, how many steps it took to get here, I get emotional." The crowd booed and laughed. They knew what he was referencing. Bruno Mars didn't laugh. He grabbed the microphone. The screen zoomed in on his face. He looked relieved. He looked 10 pounds lighter. "I'm debt-free," Bruno Mars said, his voice cutting through the noise. "I paid the casino off a long time ago." Anderson .Paak immediately fell to his knees on stage and broke out into a praise dance, pretending to thank the Lord for the salvation of Bruno's bank account. The stadium erupted. Not just in laughter, but in applause. It was a confession, wrapped in a joke, hidden in a concert. He finally confirmed the rumors not by issuing a press release, but by declaring his independence from the narrative that had plagued him for 2 years. He confirmed that while the internet was busy calculating his losses, he was busy winning. In an interview with the Las Vegas Review-Journal around this time, he finally broke the fourth wall. He looked at the reporter and said with a smirk, "Absolutely not. I love the lore that I am a Las Vegas lounge singer in debt to the mob. I can work with that. That is the final truth. There was no debt. There was no IRS raid. There was only a musician who understood the assignment. He realized that in the 21st century, silence is boring. By playing along with the lie, he turned a potential scandal into the longest-running marketing campaign of his career. So, what happens to a man who survives a $50 million rumor at 39? He thrives. By the end of 2025 and into 2026, Bruno Mars has not only survived the Debtgate scandal, but he has weaponized it. His collaboration with Lady Gaga, "Die with a Smile," becomes a staple at award shows, a reminder of the power of pure vocal talent. His work with Rose, APT, bridges the gap between Western pop and K-pop in a way that feels organic, not forced. The city of Las Vegas officially embraces him. MGM Resorts CEO Bill Hornbuckle goes on record not to deny debt, but to praise the partnership. Bruno Mars isn't just a global superstar, he's one of the most electrifying performers of our time, and over the past decade he's become an integral part of Las Vegas, Hornbuckle says. The city even renames a street for him. They give him a key to the city. The debt rumor becomes a t-shirt. Fans hold up signs at his shows that say streaming to pay Bruno's rent. He signs them. He points at them from the stage. He has taken a knife aimed at his reputation and turned it into a platinum record. At 39, Bruno Mars did what few pop stars manage to do as they approach 40. He stopped fighting the tabloids and started dancing with them. He proved that authenticity doesn't mean telling everyone your bank balance, it means having the confidence to laugh at yourself when the world thinks you're broke.